Now, y'all know before we get into today's topic, we always start with a bit of mindfulness, and that is not changing. But first, I would like to introduce my lovely guest, Melani. We actually met at the podcast summit in Atlanta, hosted by David Shands. And honestly, she's an incredible woman. And I'm going to let her introduce herself because I don't think I would do it justice. So go ahead.
Oh, thank you. My name is Melani Douglas. I am the founder of the Family Arts Museum. And Family Arts Museum focuses on family as fine art, home as curated space, community as gallery. And as a part of that, I believe that the kitchen is the control panel. So here at the Family Arts Museum, my house is set up like an apothecary. There's jars with labels and names on it. I may be able to show you all something. And understanding herbs, we have a garden in the back. We're in the middle of the city. We're in the middle of Washington, D.C., like a few blocks from the train, but we still manage to maintain some of those ancestral traditions from my family of keeping a garden, knowing your herbs, knowing your spices, making your recipes. So that's a part of the home part. And we're going to be talking about that. And that gave birth to Make Apothecary. Make Apothecary stands for My Ancestral Kitchen, or Melani and Ashira's Kitchen, which is my daughter's name. And she has her name and says this is her kitchen, but we know it's ours. But so Make Apothecary is my attempt to document the different blends and herbs that I have for myself to create a legacy, an herbal legacy for her.
Oh my gosh. That, like, y'all, did y'all hear that? Like I said, I couldn't do it justice. So I wanted you to take the floor. But now, I want to make note, like, what you're doing is incredible
Thank you.
because that's powerful already in and of itself. And I could talk about that. We're going to get into that, but I'm going to get into the little mindfulness that we got for y'all because it's going to be beautiful. So now it is time for us to pause, breathe, and relax. All right, y'all. I hope that gave y'all a bit of woosah because it always does that for me. I apologize for my voice. My voice is like going in and out, but we're going to get it together.
Sounds good. It sounds good.
So, I want to start with how we met because we need to talk about that
We need
tea
to
because
talk about it. We do.
I almost walked off, y'all. Y'all don't know, but I saw her and I was like, "What is she? She got tea. I love tea. I'm a tea girly, and I do have some of her tea here for y'all. But
Yes.
we're gonna get into that. But I had some of this tea. I wasn't going to because she was out. She was out. I almost missed it, and then somebody was kind enough to let me take a sip, and it was so good that I was like, "That's not tea. I thought it was something else. It gave me a boost of energy that fast." I said that I literally I said, "You hold on now. You ain't got no business selling that and just trying to walk up out of here and it's gone. I didn't get a bottle worth of tea. I was so sad, but." Now we have this episode. So you made up for it. It's okay. But no, the tea was so good, y'all. Like I said, it put me in a really good mood. So when you're making these teas, obviously I feel like the secret ingredient might be love, but is that safe to say?
Oh my God, yes. The and also with the love, it's
Mm-hmm.
really understanding that it's medicine and that
Mm.
it it's an opportunity for me to learn about the herbs, right? So there's what we know about herbs, and then there's what you get to learn when other people use it and what it makes them feel like. And so you get to learn, how does this adapt for each person? What's the range? And also for me, strangely enough, when we had met, I had just was really moving out of about probably like about almost a 2-year cycle of like social anxiety.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. We was just talking, and
Yeah.
and I think that that's incredible that
Mhm.
you have taken the steps to, conquer your social anxiety because.
And the herbs helped,
Hmm.
right? So like
Oh,
using
definitely.
the herbs was like a part of my recovery plan. A part of it was the therapy, the herbs, the meditations. I started to record education meditations, and then
Hmm.
started to kind of piecemeal this space. But the podcast summit was the first time that I had been in a large public setting,
Hmm.
probably since 2022.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And now, before, my whole career was based on public speaking, being in
Okay.
public, engaging with the public, community
Mm.
engagement. So this was like a huge loss to not feel as comfortable in this space. So
Hmm.
I took the tea with me because I needed the tea. And then I was like, you know what?
No, but ain't that funny how life worked? I needed it, but it helped y'all. I hear it. I hear it.
I personally needed it. So I was like, but then when I was packing, I was like, you know what? No pressure, Melani. Just give samples. Just go and give samples, right? And just talk to people and give samples. So I had a high pressure thing, which was you will be in this big space with people. You had a
Hmm.
goal. You will meet at least 10 people that you deeply connect with. And it was like kind of this shock therapy, like this kind of like get in it, just do it.
Hmm.
And then the low pressure one was we're not making sales. We're just going to give samples. Just going to give samples. But we do have this array of things should I feel bold enough that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
could make some sales, right? So when
yeah.
I met you, we had just I don't have their names in front of me, but that Miami crew, that Florida crew that was there, oh my God, they were like from the moment they were so good. So when they were like, well, I went over to them. They were standing in a
Hmm.
circle. I said, would you gentlemen like to try some tea? And they looked at
Yeah.
each other, and one was like, I'll try it. And then he tasted, and he was like, oh my God.
That's why they stopped me. They were reading my shirt. Y'all, they were reading my shirt and I was like, why am I getting singled out? And I was like, oh, I got a shirt that the shirt said a glow that can only come from God. So yeah, they reading the shirt and I'm like, oh, okay, they just reading the shirt. He's like, no, 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 sister, you come over here. Come over here. You want to try this. I was like, what? I don't know. Like, and it's so funny because I get what you mean by like the social anxiety piece because you wouldn't think that I do have it, but I do. Because after we have a conversation, I'm like overthinking, oh, did I say the right thing? Did that come off right? Was I, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's definitely a thing. It's definitely a factor. But it was funny because when I walked over, I instantly felt like welcome. I
Yeah.
instantly felt like, oh, we just talking. I've known you for, you know what I mean? Like it was like so personable. It was so cool. And then when he gave me a taste of that tea, I said, yeah, you, no, you. I didn't talk to you immediately because it was like and here's the thing, I struggle. I love teas. I have a tea collection, but I
Mhm.
struggle to find the tea that will give me that energy boost because sometimes my lavender don't do it. Sometimes my, the chamomile is relaxing, but sometimes like I usually drink tea to help with my anxiety sometimes. So
Okay.
like if I do that, I'm trying to like really come down sometimes. But sometimes it don't work. Sometimes I'm not drinking the right tea, but that was the right tea. That's the thing. I'm gonna tell you that
So
now.
to tell you a little bit about that blend,
Yeah, yeah.
the blend is called, actually, I have some of it, what it looks like. And I don't know if you can
Ooh.
see, my nails are horrible, but some of the blue flowers that are in it.
It's so pretty.
And it's called Go Lay Down. And
Ah,
yeah.
well, all right then. That that explains why I was feeling so. I said I wanted more, and then
It's
you
so good.
was that day one or day two? I don't even remember.
That was day two. It was day,
Dang,
but it was like day two. Yep. And
dang.
yeah, the reason that it's called Go Lay Down is not because it'll make you knock out, go to sleep. But
Mhm.
all of us have this voice in our head that's not our voice. All of us have this anxiety, this part of us. We have this part of our brain that will do this racing thing, right?
Yes.
And it gets in the way of us connecting, and it gets in the way of us actually feeling and being our authentic selves. So the tea has skullcap. Skullcap is a herb that looks like a helmet, and
Mhm.
it literally is meant to restore your brain. It's literally meant to
Oh.
work with the neurons in your brain. It also has lemon balm, and lemon
Okay.
balm is another herb for your nervous system. It
Mm.
has a little bit of yarrow, and this is a yarrow is going to be an herb that helps to really restore the myelin sheath on your nerves. It's a perfect. It's
Mhm.
got so many great qualities to it. But
Yeah.
every herb that's in it, and it's not, it's I try to keep it. Like I said, I want to create recipes that my daughter can recreate in the
Of
future.
course. Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
And but everything in it is to tell that part of your system to go lay
To
down.
go lay down.
Go
I
lay down.
love that though,
And that was
because
my mantra
yeah.
during the pandemic when they had this song, Go Lay Down, that one. And that was like my mantra that for my anxiety, that when it came up, and I almost just treated it like a child, and was
Mhm.
like, you know what, take a sip of this and go lay down. Just go lay down. And
Mhm.
that's how I really worked the tea to work for me, right?
I
And so
love
the tea
that.
is designed to put that part of you to rest and allow other parts of you to your true
So,
self to show up.
so I have a story now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that news got me a little bit emotional, but it's good. I promise it's good.
Mm-hmm.
So that day, I actually had a moment of like comparison, doubt, imposter syndrome creeping. Um, and I had saw B Simone's interview, right, with Donnie Wiggins, and I watched the whole thing. I stayed for the entire thing. And one of my things was I wanted to interview B Simone because I feel like we're very similar and things like that, and I just wanted to, pick her brain.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I got that thought and I was recording and everything, a thought came in that was like, well, if Donnie Wiggins, another person that I look up to, if she's asking all the questions that I'm gonna ask, then what am I doing here, type of thing. That's I didn't believe it, but that was the voice, right? So that was the question that led to, well, if you don't have anything to offer, what value do you have to offer? So I had to step away. I acknowledged the feeling, I acknowledged the question, but I was not myself after that. I was like really um I just wasn't myself. I wasn't the light that you saw. Like I was just kind of
Mm-hmm.
like irritated. Everything was like, why am I here, type of thing. And then it became this thing where I was like, you know what? We can either waste this huge opportunity being in our feelings and questioning why we're put here and all this other stuff, or we can focus on the fact that there are so many other people that I can connect with,
Yeah.
that there's no way that I can miss this. There's no way. I'm going to work with my fear, you know? And that's something that I have been doing for the past year and a half. But I say all that to say that I took a moment and I stepped away. And right after that moment, I came back and I had to like acknowledge, and I was talking with some people, but it was like right after that I saw you, and I got
Um,
the tea. And when you just said that it's supposed to tell that part of your brain to go lay down in your nervous system, that's what I felt in that moment. I felt that's why I kind of got emotional when you saw me, because I was like, oh my god, no, you, like, because that had already been working in overdrive. And for me, my system was like, okay, so if we're not the person to be here, then why are we here? Da, 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 da. And I was talking with other people about it for the rest of the evening, and it was just kind of like, okay, well, what now? And I think my body really needed that tea. So I really do appreciate you for even. I know it wasn't you that specifically gave it to me, but I appreciated even having that moment with you, because I feel like that's what we need. We need to understand that our nervous system is working for us, but we
It is.
also need to understand how it works for us. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, I had a massage yesterday, and it was one of the best massages I've ever had. And I've gotten them before, but this one was so much more personal. It was like we were talking about, oh, what emotion are you feeling, type of thing. And it was so nice because I was allowing the emotions to move through my body. I was allowing my central nervous system to do what it wanted to do instead of being on the defense and being like, no, I can't get there. I can't go there. So it was really nice to sit in that. And I'm sure that's what your tea, your recipes are going to do for millions and millions of people, because that's what we need. Sometimes we need to reset and balance our nervous system. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
And it's also a good reminder
Mm-hmm.
that we are not alone.
Yes.
God did not bring us here alone.
Woo.
That God did not
100%.
create this beautiful manifestation of
Mm-hmm.
itself to leave us on this isolated journey without any tools, without
Mm-hmm.
any strategies. The whole entire plant kingdom um, is waiting for us to understand how much love is there for us, how much
Yeah.
support is there for us. And so herbs are a wonderful reminder of God's creation, that something is created and designed for your body,
Mm-hmm.
and your part of your journey is finding out which ones,
Mm-hmm.
finding out what works for you, getting exposed. And that's why the tea works. It really works fast because, one,
Yeah.
so many of us are dealing with it, because like I don't even think people realize how much they're dealing with it. And I can always tell how much like a person like the degrees of like how much they're dealing with it. And I
Mm-hmm.
can tell from me for how fast it hits. If you're dealing with it a lot, it hits fast. Like it's like bam,
Oof.
Yeah, it hits.
Oof.
It does. So on the days that I'm like, oh wow, I'll think I'm chilling, and then I'll taste the tea and I'm like, woo. And I'm like, oh, my nerves, I must really let me go a little bit
Yeah.
deeper, because
Yeah.
something else is going on here, the way this is hitting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then some people they already have, like when I have the tasting after a yoga class, right? I usually
Mm-hmm.
have, I've had a tasting after a yoga class. The responses were like, oh, this is so good. Oh, I like this. But because they had just did yoga,
Yeah.
it wasn't having the same hit,
Hit.
right?
Yeah. The
But it
impact
still
and shit.
had,
Yeah.
they could enjoy the taste, and then they got to tell me other properties, right?
Mm.
So because their nervous system was already dealt with, so from them I got to learn, oh, this is other ways that this can affect you if you're calm or if your nervous system. So one person was like,
Mm-hmm.
huh, he's like, that was really good. He's like, I feel like I could like do a little bit more activity. I feel like I could run or something. I was like, really? Okay.
Mm.
And I'm just listening, like, how do you feel?
Yeah.
But it's very different when someone is having it from a state of not feeling relaxed versus feeling relaxed. Then other properties in the herbs begin to wake up and help
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. That's
So
interesting. I love
yeah.
that. I absolutely love that. So, um, when you set out to make this
Mm-hmm.
tea, and not just this tea but this business of yours,
Yeah.
um what was that like for you? Like, did it stem from other than your daughter, and how you talked about
Mm-hmm.
you want to make the recipes for her for her to also make in your
Yeah.
footsteps? Where did the journey start for you?
So I do this series called it's a tea salon, and
Mm.
it's a Makapothecary tea salon, and I interview people, and it's kind of like it's like a parlor. I set it up. It's beautiful. We have the tables. We have pillows on the floor. There's chairs
Uh-huh.
for elders. It's an intergenerational conversation salon. So it's like, you
Wow.
know, I open it with a meditation. The young people serve the tea.
Uh-huh.
The elders, you know, open it up with the permission to begin.
Mm-hmm.
And typically it's like about anywhere from 50 to 75 people. When I
Wow.
first started it, I was prepared. I only thought 12 people would show up. I only thought 12 people would show up. I did.
That sound like me.
Right. It's like 12 people registered. And within the first 15 minutes, the room was packed, like over 50 people. Yeah, it was at a conference. It was at How We Gather Now conference at Eden Hotel. And I don't know what, like, people were like, from what I learned later,
Mm-hmm.
people had friends in other they were in other sessions. They were like, you got to come taste this tea. Come in here and just try this. And then people ended up serving. So I was serving the tea.
Uh-huh.
And so then people were like, well, how do we buy the tea? I want to buy the tea. Right now, I had already started this project for my daughter,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I wasn't totally thinking about selling. It just wasn't as formed yet. Right.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that.
Yeah. And then they
It was
wanted
your
to buy the
baby.
tea. It was
It was your
my
baby.
baby.
Yeah, it was your baby, and you weren't ready to put a price tag on it. I get it,
No, I
cause
was
that's
like,
how.
it's my baby, you know, and it's my 2020 baby. It's my own project. I'm trying to figure
Yeah,
out the documentation for her, blah, blah, blah.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
hadn't gotten as far as like, you know, and I knew eventually I would, but people were like, we need this tea. I don't know what you do. We need you
no.
to do more of these meditations and we need you to do these teas.
It's so funny because what you're saying is what I have been dealing with. Like all of my
Yeah.
friends have been like, I need you on stage. I need you doing more poetry. I need your book. And I'm like, not yet. Y'all wait. Y'all can wait. Because
And
it's
you
my
know,
baby.
it is,
But
and so what I had to realize, yes, it's like it's my baby.
mhm.
However, if I believe that, you know, we are made in the image of God,
Yeah.
right? Then I believe that anyone that I meet is made in the image of God.
Yes.
And when someone is saying a message from that's aligned with the God that they are made in the image of,
Mhm.
why would I not receive that as a message from God?
Ooh. Oh.
Yeah.
I gotta. Ooh.
Mhm.
I gotta sit with that. Dang. But no, I see. I see. That's pretty cool. That's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
So
And
if we're looking for God and
mhm.
we're made in the image of God, which means we're in the presence of God all the
Yes.
time with each other.
Yes.
And so, and we're like, well, I'm waiting to the right time. Is there another right time if one of these manifestations of God is telling you that they need it? So yeah, the readiness is not your business. It's just not your business. Like, and even as a socially engaged artist, sometimes when I'm putting out my art practice requires public participation.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, is the community ready for, can I do this? Is it the time? That's not my business. The business is to do the work and to get it out. Because what I've learned, if you keep the brainchild in, there are other brain children that want to be born. And you're up here like stifling, you know what I'm saying? You're
Ooh.
keeping like a toddler in a crib. And
Mhm.
it's time for the toddler to move into its own bed and have its own, you know, kind of it's ready to grow up a little bit.
It's ready to
And
blossom.
so
Yeah.
and you're wondering why you're a frustrated parent of these dreams.
Right
Mhm.
now, I'm in the process of working on some things. Like I said, my book. I am working on my book. So,
Mhm.
but I've been talking about like anyone that knows me, they know I've been talking about this book for a long, long,
Yeah.
long, 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 long time. But
Mhm.
what held me back from actually publishing it was first it was a couple of things, but the first thing that came was like, am I ready? Second thing was
Mhm.
like, you're not ready yet, because
Mhm.
the things that I talk about in the book, I don't want it to be like, I don't want anyone to pick it up and be like, oh, she's just angry, you know. I
Okay.
want you to take away a different message. And I know that everyone's not going to get that message. That's totally fine. I've accepted that. That was one of the hard things that I had to accept. But
Right.
with it being my brainchild, I think it's so interpersonal that you're like, should I put that out? Sometimes it's like that.
Mhm.
But I ain't stifling any more of my brain children. They are all going to be birthed and they're all going to be put out in due time. I'm not going to rush
Yeah.
myself. I've had to
Mhm.
really understand that it takes time to see the progress and see the success that I've been dreaming of. Long awaited
Mhm.
success, but it will come. It will come. So
It'll
long as I
come.
put in the work, you know what I mean? Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's so cool
Yeah.
that so you said that you had brought the tea for yourself at the podcast summit.
Oh yeah.
Has tea always just been a part of your life? Has it
Yeah.
always been a coping tool or a grounding tool maybe for
I
you?
was really blessed with my mom
Mm.
is quite the amazing herbalist, and I learned so much from her. My grandmother on my father's side, quite the amazing cook, and my dad always deals with spices. He has his own barbecue sauce company, and then
Mm.
I know it's really good. And
That
then
sound that
that
sound
came
good. Listen, I'm already ready. What that called?
from.
It's about to be a family affair in a second. I'm about to have this and
Wow.
that.
It's so, and that came from a recipe from my great grandfather. So on both sides of my family,
Mhm.
they've always worked with herbs, spices, and
Oh, that's nice.
around either healing or enhancing, your food experience, your dining experience, or your
Mm.
spiritual, or your emotional. So I got it definitely from that. So I grew up with loose leaf. I didn't even know that people weren't didn't I just thought it was just such, we had loose leaf herbs, we had mason jars with herbs in it. My grandmother
Mhm.
was collecting herbs, and you're drying out herbs and not
Oh,
thinking too much.
you just
just
around it. That's
just
lovely.
around it. There's herbs hanging. So I didn't think too much about it. And then also my mom is well over 70. She looks gorgeous. She's
Mm.
always looked so beautiful and always so I'm seeing at home, and I'm seeing the behind the scenes of how
Yeah.
she keeps her mind together, her body together,
Yeah.
her spirit together. And I go out into the world, and I'm, seeing like people are like, oh my gosh, but I'm seeing that the herbs and the vitamins and the food, how that's helping her, you know. Um,
Mm.
and so learning that and being around it was just, a critical part. What I did notice is that
Mhm.
one, two key moments. And
Mhm.
this is how, even the Family Arts Museum, one of the first key moments is when you make your first apartment, when you get your first new apartment and you have to make home.
Yeah.
That's when you really learn about what traditions you got from your own household and what traditions will be new.
Mm.
Because one of my
Okay.
first things I did was set up, I had to have my kitchen set up. And then you realize, like, oh my God, it's a lot I don't have, like a lot that you got from
Oh.
your parents' house. Now you got to remember what you got, or you got to go there. You got to, where do I get this? Where do I get that? And so it
Mhm.
was like the herbs and the spices were like the first part. It was like
Okay.
bed, table, chair,
Herbs.
herbs. Everything is kind of a state of meditation
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to making the teas.
Mhm.
But each tea, when I sip it, I feel it, and there's certain things that I feel. The tea that you have is called "As Above, So Below,"
Yes.
and that's my morning tea. And actually, that's the tea that I'm about to have. And yeah, that's the exact same one, and it's a beautiful tea designed to give you a slow release caffeine. It does have caffeine. It has like a jasmine green in it.
Mhm.
Um, but it's a very slow release. It's got a little bit of citrus, got a little hint of cacao, and a little bit of a chocolate flavor.
Mhm.
Um, and it's that's what I feel. That's the part of my day when I'm manifesting and getting my day started is usually when I'm having it. So all that comes from, me and what comes to mind when I'm sipping the teas, probably for the first few times.
Hmm.
And then they have meditations that go with it.
Yes,
So
that's
yeah,
the next part I wanted to ask you.
yeah.
Do you, when you do your meditation, or when you come up with the meditation for the tea, is it set off that intention of what I just read here, the affirmations as well? Or is it something like it comes to you in the moment, or how does that go for you?
It's different things for different times. For the most part, the teas and the meditations are always coming from something that I need, or something that's needed in my household or within
Mm,
my friend circle, right?
okay, okay.
Yeah. So when I'm talking to people that I love and care about, there's something that comes up maybe twice or three times,
Mm,
and I'll do a meditation around that. Sometimes a person has asked me, like people call me and they may ask me to either pray with them or to do a
mm,
meditation with them, to help them through a moment. And sometimes it's informed by that too. Because the reality is, by the time you get to the point that you need to call me to
mm-hmm.
either do a visual meditation with you or to do a prayer with you, um, it's whatever you're experiencing, there's probably a whole other world of people that are experiencing it as well.
That
We
makes
don't
a lot of
experience
sense.
anything alone.
That's true. That's
So
true.
if one person needs it, more people need it.
Mm,
So the meditation is something that I can send to them and say, hey, I thought about what you were going through. Here's something I made. But then I'm surprised at how many other people need it. So I just started uploading them up to YouTube, to my YouTube channel.
you make me wanna. I wanna open mine, but you know what? You know what?
Open it up. So
I'm
let's
about
talk
to.
about how you do it. And inside, at the podcast summit, I prepared some samples to give to people, and this is
Mhm.
something that I pass out. And so in it, it has the tea name, and then on the back of it, it has a QR code that leads to the website and meditation.
Mhm.
Um, and inside, I give you a tea bag.
It's so pretty. Can
Isn't
y'all
it
see that?
pretty? I can't really see it. Oh, it's
Ah.
yeah. See if you can show the back under the QR code, because it's a window back there. You might be able to show like how
Oh
pretty.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's like,
Look
yeah,
at
it's
that. It's
so
so
pretty.
pretty. It's
Yeah.
like blue and red and different colors, y'all. Y'all,
Yeah.
y'all can't really see it, but I'm in love over here. Okay.
It's so pretty. It's such a beautiful blend.
So okay,
And
I
then
put it
take
in
the
the
tea
tea
bag
bag.
out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then fill up the tea bag with the contents. And if you have some hot water,
I got my
and
kettle.
so
I can
and
go put some.
if you can show the white tea bag so people know
Yeah.
what it looks like. Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I see
it's a
the
white
bag.
tea bag. Yeah, and it has a
Whoa.
drawstring, and so that's made out of recyclable
I'm
paper,
making
so
a
that you're
mess,
able
y'all.
to use it. I'm using a French press. You can also use something like this,
Uh huh.
and people use this for coffee, but you can use it for tea.
Okay.
And
I have a French press too.
Yeah, and I have the sample of the tea here, and I'm gonna pour it
Okay.
into my French press.
Okay.
Pour it in here,
I done made a mess.
and then I am going to put my hot water on it as soon as it gets heated up, and we can have a nice cup of tea.
Do I have to fill the whole bag, or can I just?
Um, you can, yeah, if you fill, you can do half, either
All
half or
right. This is
I
good.
would I'd fill the whole bag up. It's
Okay.
really for like one sample. Do you have hot water over there?
Let me go get it.
Okay.
Let me go get it. We gonna have an interest. This is a different episode, but I'm gonna be right back. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, no, I can still hear you.
Okay,
And
cool.
so I will go through. So I also have just a mug, and you can get a mug on my website. It's makapothecary.com. That's
Okay.
www.makapothecary.com. And so we have the tea set up in here, and then we have the mug. And I like to get a electric kettle. So if you
That's
can
what I
see that
have.
it came off the
Yep.
the heat, it has a little pod that it sits on. I like it because it's portable, and as long as I have fresh water, I can have a nice cup of tea. the quality of your water does matter. If you can get either filtered all the way up to an alkaline water, up to spring water, or filter your tap water. The other thing that I like to do is that I boil, if I have to do tap water, boil it twice. So boil it, let it cool, boil it again. But we're going to have some tea. I'm going to get a little bit more to put in here.
Yeah. So I got my French press, y'all. Here's my French press.
Nice. Yeah. So that's perfect for tea, for loose leaf teas.
Okay.
And yeah, so then I have my hot water ready, and I'm going to fill it up.
It's just something about the way the water pours. It's so soothing.
It is.
Naturally. I'm like, oh.
We forget how the sound of water, even if it's just from it pouring out of a teacup, like we are, mostly water. So the sound of it in motion is always going to be a healing process, which is why I also love tea, because it's and why I like loose leaf tea, because the ritual of making the tea is an experience within itself. When you make the tea, the herbs, you smell them way more, the color of the herbs, and doesn't it smell good?
Yes, I said, let me smell it now.
It's so good.
It was wafting.
Yeah.
So, okay, I got a question for you. As I'm making this tea, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
As I'm making this tea, I have a question. So, did you know about bath teas?
Oh yeah. No, I make.
What is okay? So I have bath tea. I got bath tea. 1 second.
Yeah.
I got all types of stuff for you today. I
love it.
I got questions. You got answers. I got questions. Okay.
And actually, I think I have a blend up here that my daughter, one of her first bath teas that she made. So,
really? So what exactly? So I have this, right? And this is by Vane. And we can get into that in a second, but it's like it basically has Epsom salt, peak Himalayan salt, Dead Sea, and black volcanic ash, and it's amazing. But I had never heard of bath tea, so this is the first time. I got 2 things of it, 2 jars of it, and I don't use it often because I don't think I'm using it right. I don't think I'm using it right at all.
So did they give it to you, and is it a powder form that they gave it to you?
I can show you. It is, let me see. No, it's like,
is it like a liquid?
No.
It's like a powder. Oh, and so it's like herbs. It's all mixed up, right?
Herbs. It's all mixed up, yeah. Okay. So I got tea bags. You dump it in the tea bags and just put it in the water in the bathtub. Is that it?
Yeah. That's what you do. Okay. Now you can take it to not another level, but you can get more out of the product. Okay. So what I suggest is to take a pot and boil the herbs in the pot, and then put that so it really, because the bath water is not as hot, at least it shouldn't be. You don't want your bath water to be boiling tea hot, right?
So, right. But we like it hot though. I do like it hot over here, but
we like it hot. But it's
not boiling tea hot though. That's the difference.
It's a difference. So I would suggest having a designated pot that you boil the herbs in, and then take the boiled herbs and then put it into your tub. Right. So take that, even if you boil the tea bag, or even you can have a designated French press. Maybe you keep a French press in the bathroom that you put that in, and then you boil it, and then you put that tea bag with the boiled herbs in it, because that's going to give you a higher concentration of where you're going to get more of the herbs pulled from the mix.
Okay.
So and then more is going to be in your tub, because if you put it straight in your tub, my only concern is that like when I have bath herbs, and I do have bath herbs, I just don't have them on my website, and I don't sell them, but maybe I should. Like your water looks like tea. You look like you're okay, good. Like you look like you're swimming in tea. So and depending on how the person has it set up, or there could be maybe a higher concentration of the herbs for what what it's for, whether it's relaxing, or whether it's for reproductive herbs, whether there's several reasons that you would.
Okay.
It is definitely good for I think men and women I would definitely recommend taking a tea bath if you can, twice a month at least.
Well, we gonna try after you done taught me how to do it. That's gonna be on the list for tonight. We go.
Make
Because I work 2 jobs, and one of them is very exhausting on my feet, and I've only just realized that. I've only realized that within the past week or so. But yesterday, like I said, I went and got a massage, and she had massaged my feet, and I was like, "Oh, my feet hurt." Like, I didn't realize just how much my feet were hurting until she was massaging them, and I was like, "Yeah, there's things that I need to have in place to ground me and give me that level of peace to come back to, especially after working a strenuous job, you know." But I think my tea water is ready. I have it in my kettle. I'll be right back. And
and
I
so
appreciate you.
Oh yeah, no problem. And as you all can see, for those who can see, the French press, I've let it sit into with the tea while we're here, and then you can move the French press up and down just to get the water moving through the herbs to circulate it. I prefer for this tea, I only like it to stay in the herbs for probably like about 10 minutes. And so 7 to 10 minutes is fine. You don't have to let it sit all day. If you like more of the bitter taste of the green tea, then let it sit longer, and then that does get more strong, which can give you like even a higher caffeine effect. But you're going to get that effect whether you have it. And so I'm going to pour this into
That's a nice French press. I was gonna say angle it. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, pour it into the cup.
So you just put the bag. So I take the herbs.
Now you would put your bag in your cup, and then you would pour the hot water over the bag and your cup and let it sit. Yeah, and then I have agave. I prefer agave to sweeten. Honey, I love honey. It's just that honey has a very distinct taste. Agave has more of a neutral taste, so I get a chance to taste more of the tea. So honey, I really use it as a medicinal when I'm making like a cough drop, or if I'm making cough syrup for my daughter or for myself. If I'm making, if I'm fermenting, honey is good to ferment things. So if I want to ferment garlic or ginger, you can use honey as a way to preserve. Honey is a great preservative. Honey is good on your skin. My mother, when I was young, and I need to start doing this with my daughter, actually, my mother used to do honey and strawberry scrubs. And she would do honey avocado. Like, she had all kind of different things that she would put on my skin to help, really work with the collagen that was in high production, because I was, in tween. And at that age, you want to give it as much of a boost so that when you're older, you're benefiting from some of those things as well. And you can do that you can do that still. So the skin you have in your 20s, the skin you have in your 30s, 40s, 50s is going to be different from the skin you have in your 80s. So anything that you do to preserve what you have is going to carry you into the future. So honey is a good preservative. So put it on your skin. But I prefer it on my skin, and but I prefer agave in my tea. So I get it sweet to what I like, and then I have me a nice cup of tea. This blend that I have here has a little bit more cacao than the one that you have.
So how long have you been in business for? How long has your empire? Because I think this is an empire. I'm not gonna call it a business. This is an empire. So how long has your empire been around?
So I first started when I was pregnant with my daughter. Okay. And I had a whole line of for men. I had a beard oil. This was 2011. Wow. I had a beard oil. I had all kind of things for men's face, and then I had a line for women. And so when I had my daughter, I was like, okay, this is the money that I'll make while I'm, raising her because I stayed at home.
Yeah.
And then I got accepted to grad school. And so I kind of like abandoned the company, just didn't continue with it. And I was like, oh, and then as I went back to grad school and started going back, and I've always made the teas, but then right before the pandemic, people would always have me make them teas or something like that. But in the pandemic is when I really had time to be at home to package, to really come up with the logo, all the design, and to really work with it. And then people started slow orders. And then last year, my cousin, she was like, well, she's my cousin by marriage, but we're so close. And she was like, if you don't put these teas on the market. So she started putting me in markets with her because she sold candles and she had a t-shirt line. So she was like, you just gonna come with me and bring some tea.
I like that.
I started to do that, or I'd give her something to sell. And she's like, girl, every time I do it, your teas are selling out. And I said, let me get a little bit more serious about this. But then when I started the salons, that was like, now you can't run.
So as we're talking about teas, basically, if y'all haven't caught on, we are talking about natural, energizing products, natural things for your body that are healthy and good, right? Because what we're saying is pretty much if y'all looking for an energy boost, stay away from Monster, stay away from, all of those energy drinks, because it's not really, I don't know what the word is, that I don't know how to define it, but they're not good for you at all. No. And I know that they create like this really intense, like impactful thing, like sometimes, but it's different for everybody. Because I know for me, like when I tried the Alani, and this is no shade to any of the energy drinks, I'm just saying when I've tried them, they don't respond well with my body. Like I'll be like up for a little bit and then I'll crash. And I'm like, I don't like that crashing feeling. So teas just work better for my nervous system. Maybe that could be true for anybody else, but I'm just saying for me personally, I try to stay away from those. So I would say tea, or at least this tea.
And just give it a shot, like just try something different and see how your body responds. And see, and just observe your body, give it at least 28 days. And just see what your body does with something new,
I like
that. And go and see, without the coffee. I will say usually people get the as above, below, as so below, and the go lay down. The go lay down, what I'm learning, the blue tea that you originally had when we met, what I'm learning about that tea is that blend, I've had people who suffer from addiction telling me that it helps them with the addiction. And so, I need to do some more to see if I can find some studies related to the herbs that are in it around addiction. But I have 2 clients that get it really to support them with some pretty heavy addiction. So I can't make that medical claim, but this is the feedback that I'm getting. And so the go lay down, if you do want to come off of coffee, I would suggest the go lay down in the evening. And then have the as above, so below in the morning. Another thing I do that I learned from one of my college professors is I drink my tea. If I feel tired, I drink my tea, and then I take a 20-minute nap. And then by the time I wake up, the energy has fully kicked in, and then I wake up really refreshed. I'm so glad you enjoy it.
I'm still sipping it. Like, I can't. It's like my body is craving it. It's so crazy. I've never had an experience like, and I'm someone that likes to try new things. So that just that like I can't describe it. I can talk, but I'm speechless at this point. Like I don't know.
I'm so glad that you like it.
Yeah.
I
think it's just. That's why I said I was so excited, because I actually had heard you in the audience when you were saying that you make teas and you have a free meditation that goes with. I was like, oh, her. Yeah. And I did not think I was going to connect with you at all. Because there was so many people. I was like, all right, I don't know if I'm going to find her. And then you had a little, I said, oh, you're her. Oh, okay,
yeah. And we had so much fun. So I have to reach out to them. When you post this, we'll have to reach out and send it to them, because he did send me the picture of you tasting the tea.
Yeah.
Yes, I have to send it. I have to send it to you because it's like you're looking at, you're like,
I know. I have the video. So I already said, like, when I actually post the
yes,
episode, I'm gonna have a like side by side. I'm gonna be like, this is how this. You want to know how my face got like this? Yeah, this because of this woman right here.
yes, I
Because
love it. I love it.
literally, I took a sip of that and I didn't even care. So those are my new Air Maxes that I had literally just got like probably 2-3 weeks before going to
Right.
Atlanta. I spilled some of that tea on my shoes and I
The
didn't
blue
care.
tea on the Air Maxes.
Yes,
Whoa.
the blue tea on the Air Maxes, and I literally, that's why I was like, what? I spilled. I said, you know what? It was fine because the one dude had said it's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's okay. It's okay. You just bless the shoes a little bit. That's all right. And I looked at the shoe. I'm like, you know what? I don't even notice it, but I know that it happened. So it is okay though because the tea was that good. So I was like, I just need to
Thank
know her.
you.
And it didn't matter. I definitely was shook for a little bit. I was like, you know what? It's just a shoe. It's okay. I broke my heart a little bit, but it was all right. We
Just
reset,
spray
but
some peroxide. Spray some peroxide on it. It'll get it out.
yeah. I was like, oh, but that's okay. It was
Mhm.
totally fine because I still be wearing them, so it don't matter. Nobody knows.
Listen,
I'm not. I don't think I'm gonna clean it because I really do feel like that moment was supposed to happen, so it was
it was
fine.
supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm
So
so glad you enjoyed this tea.
yes.
And I'll have to be able to the other one,
Mhm.
this new one that I've made that is like the women's blend, the Abrufanina is just it's beautiful.
What do you see yourself doing um, with the empire in total? Other than passing it down to your daughter, do you see it being something else or?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I am in a season right now
Hmm.
where I'm already kind of thinking about what does the next 3 to 5 years looks like. So
Okay.
I'm preparing for the holiday season. I'm definitely preparing for the time of year that everyone's, wanting to give gifts. I just want people. I'm learning that I'm uh, a point of education for people where people are learning about loose leaf teas. And because I
Yes.
grew up with it, I just was like, oh, I thought, oh, you guys, oh, okay. So I'm learning. I'm like, oh, okay, I can teach you that, right? Because sometimes
Hmm.
you think that you have to be this extreme expert, but remember something that you
Hmm.
might be an expert to somebody on it. And I
Yeah.
never could imagine that I'm an expert on introducing people to loose leaf tea. So one part of it is to really amp up the education part of it.
Okay.
How does a person find out, like, how do you build out your first, like your beginning apothecary at home? I'm putting together a class around that.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so I'm hoping that it looks like November
Hmm.
I'll have a online class for that.
Okay.
So that when you go for the holidays and you go home for, you begin to do that.
I
So the
love that.
education component, what do people need to learn? And then also
Hmm.
the economic development component. What are the many ways that I can share with other people, the ways that I'm being blessed, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like how does that happen? Um, and then I really do want to be able to also travel and learn more with people about teas and herbs. So we're seeing where it goes,
I
but the
love
goal
that.
is like how many households
Hmm.
can be converted into a loose leaf tea households and
Hmm.
start to really work with herbs on their own is a
I love
huge
that.
part of that goal, and I'm thinking about what that looks like. So between the Family Arts Museum and
Hmm.
Make Apothecary, what do I need to put in place to empower people to have their own control panel at home, at least a
Hmm.
basic one, that they have access to some herbs that they're able to really take control of their household and their life.
And before we left, you were asking about the Family Arts Museum.
Oh yes. Yes.
Yeah, that literally came out of me being a mom, and I decided to move back home with my parents.
Mm.
And when I moved back home with my parents, I realized as an artist, you have your own studio, right? And so
Hmm.
when someone comes into your studio, there's a level of respect that
Yeah.
happens, right? And so once I started to view my parents' house as their art studio and their home as a museum, and my practice as motherhood as an art practice,
Mm.
it really opened up how how we could live together intergenerationally. And that started, not only that, it also showed me how much I wanted to learn and to preserve as an art form for my daughter. So that was really like the quick and dirty story of how the Family Arts Museum got together. And people can find out about that at familyartsmuseum.org. And we do things at laundromats, we do them at farms. We'll set up a museum on the corner. So we have a good time. It's a nomadic museum.
I was going to say, what does the museum entail? Is it we are communicating together? What is the museum? What is that experience like?
So typically the museum experience is I'm getting family stories, asking people about their family traditions. We also we do a memory museum where we literally just collect people's memories around one thing. And then we share with the audience. It's super, it depends on what the audience is. When we did it at a farm, we took the herbs that they were in season, the herbs, fruits, and vegetables, and we took what was in season that they were working with and had people gather their stories around those different ones. For Theater Week coming up in DC, there's the City on the River Festival. We're going out there to get people's stories about theater. When you were first introduced to theater, how is theater in your home? How was your family's living room or your family? What was the stage in your household? Was it the dinner table? So we're collecting stories there. Yeah. And then we put them in a digital format to share, or it's one of those things where you have to be there to experience it in order to kind of capture the art of it. So it's a lot of fun.
Okay, so with that, have you ever come across a family that didn't have as many like positive experiences, or
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and that's also that's one of the beauties of it, is that people have a very romanticized notion of what they think family is for other people. So people will think that because of the things that they went through, that their family is this kind of isolated, maniacal case. And everyone has their own individual experience. But the reality of it is the relationship with our family, home, and community comes with a lot of trauma. It's not always a good thing. This is what you have to figure out in the world, and the lessons you have to learn in this world are going to come through your family, home, and community first. And, once you hear other stories of other people and you realize that your family was just one of your first schools, you will have many other schools. This is one of your first schools that is going to give you probably the hardest lessons you have to learn. Right? You're going to get that in your family. You're going to get that in your home. More than likely, the hardest lessons you have to learn are going to be right there. Because before you go out into the world, there has to be a space that you have this concentrated school to deal with not only your healing, but your ancestral healing. So you get this concentrated block of time that you have this solidified space to understand what the trauma is, to confront it. And then as you get older, one of the first love actions you do for yourself is to heal and understand. And then how do you not carry that trauma forward? That's a part of our evolution.
We did talk about that. And I think it's interesting because I talk with a lot of different people who have, different family dynamics and from my own. And I'm learning like, I've always had that open-mindedness to where I can be like, I want to know other people's perspectives anyway.
Right.
But I find it very interesting when I come across somebody that's like sharing their experience that I haven't necessarily been privy to, given what I have been exposed to, so I'm like, I didn't even think I could see it from that way. Like there was a period in my life where it didn't matter what anyone said. I was seeing it from a negative, pessimistic view because that was all I had been exposed to, and being optimistic was just like, okay, like it wasn't really ingrained in me the way that like it now is, where I have unlearned certain things.
Right.
So that's why I was like, I think that that's beautiful, share, especially, I've always said like before, like you can write yourself into healing, because that's how I started to realize that there was a problem in my family to begin with, that there was an issue or a root cause or whatever you want to call it. I started just writing, and I was like, that doesn't seem, like the more I kept writing, I was like, okay, that's pain. That
Yeah.
doesn't seem right. That's unnatural. These different things were coming up, and it was just like, oh, okay. And then as I got
Mm-hmm.
older, I really like took a deep dive into like what the word breakdown and the word association was with
Mm-hmm.
those feelings, and that's where I was like, oh, I see that. And it's not to throw shame or
Yeah.
anybody under the bus. It's just more so like I said, acknowledging what it is, so
Yeah.
that you're not constantly being like, that didn't happen, that didn't happen, that didn't happen, for it to come up later
Yeah.
in a way that you don't want it to come up. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've seen people be like, oh, I was totally fine. I was totally fine. And then they were not fine.
They're not fine. And
They're
that's
not
why
fine.
the family, the
Hmm.
home, and the community are so important, right? Because you
Yeah, of
have the
course.
family, but in the community, you see other families practice their art form.
Yes.
So, and you see other people practice their art, you see their studios. And so
Hmm.
sometimes the family, you have to get in community to realize what you need to question about your family.
Hmm.
You need to get in community even to realize what your family does well. Even the worst family situations have something they do well.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't know until you're in community, and the home becomes this balancing place because you have your childhood home, and then there's
Hmm.
the home that you get to create, right?
Yes.
And so when you say, okay, this is what happened in my childhood home, but once you
Hmm.
go in community, you see other ways that your home could be. So the
Yeah.
home that you create then determines the next generation's family, right?
Yeah.
So they have to they all work together. And that's why you said, well, I started to write about it, but you also started to observe what other people were doing,
Oh yeah. I
you
I've
know?
I've always been observant though. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I totally
Mm-hmm.
see I see that. And that's the thing, like, I think being such an observant person, I really used to think it was a curse because I can remember everything.
Yeah.
I used to be like, man, and then other people would be, I would talk with my friends and they'd be like, Jay, that's such a blessing. Like, that's such a
Yeah.
gift for you to be able to be that observant and for you to have that such a memory. And I'm like, no, but you also have to understand, because I have such a good memory, I'm remembering the bad stuff too. I'm remembering, yeah.
But
So,
that's what gives you,
mhm.
it has the opportunity to open you up for compassion to recognize it in other people.
I do have compassion.
Yeah.
I do. But that's
Mm-hmm.
where, as
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten older, I've started to see it as sort of a superpower, where I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I can see both sides. I can see the duality,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because I constantly get labeled as being indecisive, but I'm actually just thinking about the consequences of these
Yeah.
actions
Yeah.
and how the cause and the effect. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
don't think about that. They just jump right in the
They
middle,
just
and
jump in.
whatever happens, happens. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. If we go this route, and I know that does give off indecisiveness, but it's more so understanding that everything has to have a balance.
Yep.
There's yin and yang, there's light and dark. Everything has to have
Mm-hmm.
a balance. And if it's a shift like this, I'm not going to feel comfortable. I'm not going to feel good. I'm not going to feel protected. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to find a way to get it to this way, so that
Yeah.
I feel safe in my being to engage in whatever activity it is, regardless of how it makes me look to the other person. That's just how I've started to.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's so beautiful. And what I've always been amazed about family
Mhm.
is that there's certain things that you would never confront about
Mm.
yourself, if
Mm.
it wasn't in your face through your family. There are certain healing patterns, there's certain dysfunction that
Ooh.
if it was not mirrored in your family and your household, you would spend this lifetime never confronting it. So
Yep.
the family, no matter how unsettled it is a mirror to look and say, here are my opportunities to shift and move in a different way. And
Mhm.
here's where I actually need to be really aware of my capacity. If it exists in my
Yeah.
family, I have the capacity to go there.
Yeah.
And I need to put mechanisms in place to actually heal that, right? And you would not
Exactly.
do it if you were not confronted by it and you didn't have to
Exactly.
struggle with it. And if you didn't have it as your family, people that you had to live with, you in that are going to be there, and in that home, how many lifetimes would it take before you actually deal with it?
You're right. You're absolutely right. Because I feel like it's interesting that you said that the family is a mirror to the things that we will do within our future families or for our future selves, because my book is called The Girl Behind Glass.
Mm.
And I always envisioned the mirror as this kind of like this resting space for me
Yeah.
after occurring or after some after experiencing something hard or heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go to the mirror and I just kind of just have this kind of shock value for a
Yeah.
little bit, and I would be like, "Oh my god, did that actually, like, I would have a couple of thoughts, but the first thing would be like, did that actually happen? Yes, that actually happened. Is that going to happen again? Probably so." And then it would be like this breakdown of like my brain. Keep in mind, I'm a kid at this time, so my brain would kind of, I don't know what it's called, but I want to say kid justify just for this layman's terms right now, because it would put it in this frame of mind where it made more sense logically as a kid, because your brain is designed to protect you
Yeah.
and your nervous system is designed to protect you. So when you have a disruption in your nervous system, hope y'all catching what I'm saying, it takes you off balance, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to find ways to get back on track.
Yeah.
That can be difficult. But for me, I would be in the mirror and I'd be like, okay, I'd be breathing and I'd be, kind of trying to process it, not realizing I was processing. And then I'd be like, all right, this happened. This isn't good, but what can we do? And as a kid, my my mind would be like, all right, so that happened, but let's just, like, the brain is trying to protect us, so let's just not think about it until we need to think about it, and then so it would be, I don't know, like, it would be like a suppression type of thing, but I always knew, like, my subconscious always knew, you know what I mean, like the body
Yeah.
carries all of it. So it definitely was interesting when I look at it from a psychological standpoint of like, yeah, it was a mirror. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's never bad to reflect on things
Right.
like that. It's never bad. There's lessons in every single obstacle that we face. There's lessons.
It is. Yeah. And the main lesson and goal, whether we like it or not, is survival.
Woo!
We don't
Yeah.
have to like it.
Yeah.
Our existence is not contingent upon healing.
Yeah.
Our existence is, our whole design is about survival and the continuation of who we are.
Yep.
Now,
Right.
healing is what leads to a higher quality experience.
Yeah, yeah, for
But
sure.
your brain is going to do whatever it needs to do,
To survive.
even if it means lie to you, if it means create another situation, whatever it needs to do, it's going to do what it needs to do for you to survive. So we have to be really, really thankful
Mm-hmm.
for even our childhood version of what survival looks like,
Yeah.
because we're still here. Now,
Oh
can we
yeah.
undo how that looks? Absolutely. We can take herbs, we can do meditations, we can work with a therapist, we can have all kind of strategies to do that. But we have to really honor the fact that it did what it needed to do so we could be here.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's what, in a roundabout way, that's what my book is about. It's
Yeah.
literally about understanding that, yeah, I looked in the mirror, but I was able to take pieces of that and heal myself.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy, but here we are, like, I think that's why I'm so happy about, and I know I'm bringing it back to the tea, but I think that's why I'm so happy that I found this tea, you,
Yeah.
because it, like I said, it resets the reboosts the nervous system, gives it that shift, but it's more so like some days I'll wake up and be like, I have all the tools. Other days I'm like, I don't have a lick of tools to help me get out of this situation
Yeah.
right now. I'm going through a rumination, or I'm going through an auditory flashback, and I'm just like, man, I'm just gonna sit in it, because that's so easy to do. It's a lot easier to be like, well, let's just sit here. This is
Yeah.
where we are. Let's just sit here. It's a
Yeah.
lot harder to be like, nah, I'm gonna grab some tea. I'm gonna
Right.
get some movie playing. We're gonna journal this thing out. We're gonna burn
Yeah.
some incense. It's so, like, that's why I say there's life after trauma if you want it, because that want and that desire has to be there.
Yeah.
I learned a very hard lesson when I was in the beginning stages of my healing journey, that I have to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
I may be like, oh my God, no, no, no. Like, I know, I see that in you. I see that in you. I see that in you.
Mm.
But you have to see it in yourself.
Yeah.
And if you don't see it in yourself, baby, I can't do nothing for you. Can't do
Yeah.
nothing for you. And that was the
Yeah.
hardest thing for me, because I'm the type of person that, like, let's just take everybody, sing kumbaya, let's all elevate together.
Right.
But everybody can't go with you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can't relate. Everybody is not at that level. And when they do get that level, that when they do get there eventually, that's perfect. But I had to learn that not everybody was going to be on the same page. Not everybody was going to be willing to heal, because that means getting uncomfortable with themselves and unfamiliar with their environment.
Well, I really applaud you. Like, I applaud you on your journey. Like, this is,
Thank you.
I am, it's as growing up with, like, seeing different, healing journals. Like, for example, I've been natural for 30 years now. And so, like, growing up in a time period and seeing some of those things that were just such a foreign concept. Like, when I went natural, oh my God, people were just thought I'd lost my whole mind. But so to see things become a part of, like, what we're talking about on the regular, and what we're, eating natural, going, having natural hair, or, what we can put on our skin, what we put in our minds. It's so beautiful. And it's so beautiful to see that it's such a common conversation, and that it's becoming more a part of, like, how we view the world. So anytime I meet someone like you who has been adamant about their healing journey, I get so excited. I just get so excited. I get so excited for us. I get excited for, our ancestors and everyone who came before, because so many people, so many of generations before, all they could do was survive the things they were going through that afford us the opportunity to heal. So I applaud you.
Thank you
For being so insistent on your healing and dedicated to it. I applaud you for not giving up.
Thank you.
Because I know how many times you could give up.
Oh yeah.
And I applaud you for that. And I encourage you that every time you encounter another level, because baby, when you hit those levels, you be like, I thought I was done. I thought I was done.
Do you know? Listen, real quick. Do you know what it felt like when I first experienced peace for the first time in my life? Wow. I had gotten my first, like, real apartment, and I was standing there, and I was like, what? I just stood there. I was like, what is this?
Like, what is this?
Like, yeah, I said it out loud. I was like, because I was like, wait, why do I not feel like, I don't know. I was talking to somebody, and we weren't, like, we weren't in a heated discussion at all. We weren't arguing. It was a calm, copacetic conversation. And I was like, what is this? What is going on?
I think is that peace?
Yeah. And I was like, what is this? I was like, wait. And I literally was in my head. I was like, hold on. You're not going through any abuse. You're not, like, I need you to sit. Like, sometimes we forget that the things that we prayed for, we're actively living. Yeah. And I literally had a moment where I was standing there, and I was like, wait a minute. I'm not being harmed. I'm not in a chaotic situation. I have the power. And I'm having a healthy conversation with somebody where they didn't just dismiss me. Hold on. What is this? Why do I feel like this is a trick? I was like, nah, something is wrong. And then I walked to the other side of my apartment, and I was like, hold on, no, this is good. I just started crying. I was like, yo, this is crazy. Because when you first experience that, it is so foreign. it's still
It
foreign
is.
because your body
Yeah.
is used to something totally different, but
Mhm.
it's becoming more natural. It's becoming more nice. Like something my friend told me when I got my LLC, um, I got it like a month ago. She said, "Your life is good," and I said, I just was quiet, and she was like, "No, no, no. I need you to sit with that because I think sometimes you forget that you've been through so much.
Mm.
It doesn't define you. And I'm speaking this to warriors now and myself. It does not define you. What happened to you was not your fault. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes we get so caught up in what has happened to us that we forget what is happening for us. We forget
Right.
what God has already said. Okay, I've healed you from that. We really do. And so my friend had to remind me, like, because I was crying like happy tears, and I was, bruh, like the business is real. Queen J Wellness LLC is now happening, and I was like,
Right.
yo, this is crazy. And she was like, your life is good. And when
Mm.
she said that, I was like, it is. You
Mhm.
really have to kind of do a fruit inspection. You have to kind of look and reflect again on the things that you have overcome. And especially because I don't think it's a coincidence that you and I are having this conversation during Suicide Prevention Month at all.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because definitely, like when you were talking about giving up, yeah, that hit because I know what that feels like, and I know that it's heavy, but it's there's a life worth living. That's what
Oh
I
my
know.
God.
There's a life worth living. Oh
And I
man.
say to anyone going through that, I
Ooh-wee.
promise you that
Mm,
on the other side of that moment where you're considering ending it all,
mm-hmm.
there's just a whole other beautiful existence. Like it's on the other side of that.
I know.
And
Ooh.
if in that moment, if you can find one thing you could let die and it not be you, just let something die. It doesn't
Doesn't
have to
have
be
to
you.
be you.
Let something die, right?
Yeah.
And letting certain things die
Mm-hmm.
can help you get to that other moment, you
Oh
know?
my gosh, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that no, that was incredible because I just thought about. I always say that we are flowers. I always say that we're plants, and you know how when the leaves fall off,
Hmm.
they get crusty and they get old and they wither away.
But first, they're beautiful. Like
Hmm.
we sometimes we like we could we some people, if they could make it past the fact that the green is gone, the green is gone, the green is gone, the green is gone, the green is gone,
Hmm.
and then you end your life, but you miss the orange and the red and the yellow
And the blues and the
and the
purples.
blues, and then it gets brown and you're like, the colors are gone, the colors are gone, but then you miss the beauty of the branches, you
Yeah,
know, and then you miss
yeah,
the beauty of the buds that are coming. So like
yeah.
we're all dying, and we're all dying, and we're having opportunities to let things die, let it go, let certain
Yeah.
things just rest so
Oh
that you
yeah.
can rest, right?
Hmm.
And I think it's something, it's just an opportunity, um,
It is for
to
sure.
reframe how we view that moment.
Of
And
course.
but I wish in those moments that that I've encountered,
Hmm.
just really, I'm so glad that I pushed through to the other side, and I'm so glad that people push through, because on the other side of it there is something else, right?
There's so much
There's
beauty.
so much more,
Like,
and give it a shot.
hmm, yeah, give
You
it a
know,
shot.
give it a chance,
I
right?
bet you
Just
love it. I bet you love it because
mhm.
I wrote something earlier this week. I said I am so grateful for the life that I have and the life that because the life that I would have chose
Mhm.
is not the life that I have
Mm.
currently.
Right.
I'm so grateful that God saved me multiple times over from myself and from others because had that not happened, this would not have happened. I would not be
Right.
helping other people understand that there is life after trauma, you know, or
Right.
life after hurt, you know. And so sometimes it is hard, like I said, but on those hard days, it is okay to have those hard days. I think when I first started feeling, like I say this all the time, I really thought it was going to be sunshine and rainbows. I thought the
Mm-hmm.
moment that I was going to leave the situation that I was in, I was like, I'm
Yeah.
going to just be smiling all the time. I'm going to be happy. No, my body was so not happy. Like my nervous system was like, it's like an addiction.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when it becomes so normalized, your body craves that chaos, and that's how you get into those toxic situations and things like that. And I'm not trying to normalize it. It just becomes normalized because that's your baseline, right? We all have a baseline.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to learn that I can change my baseline. If I don't like this and this is actually harming me, we can take steps to change our baseline. So I'm so grateful that you were willing to discuss all the things that we discussed today. I am so grateful that you wanted to come on, that we met the way that we met. I'm grateful to you and for
Thank
you.
you.
And please keep me in the loop with all things you
I
and
will.
I make apothecary. I love that. I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, this has definitely been a pleasure. And I look forward to when we see each other in person again. We'll share a cup
Yes.
of tea in person.
Okay. We're gonna get to the tea and share
Yes.
some tea. No, I love it. I thank you so much for joining us. Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you.
This has been Queen J with the Let's Get Uncomfortable podcast with Melani, or is it
Melani. Yep, Melani
Melani?
Douglas.
I love that. It is just so
Yeah.
pretty.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As always, you can find me at _officially Queen J on Instagram. I'll have it linked below. You can
Mm-hmm.
also find me at Let's Get Uncomfortable Pod on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty much available everywhere. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. That's where you can find me at. And if you want to stay in touch with my lovely guest for this today, I was about to say this evening. It's my
Yeah.
evening. Y'all, the sun is shining. I was about to say evening. You can follow her on Instagram. Hold
Yep. You can
on.
find me at Melanin Douglas. So literally spelled like melanin and then Douglas with 2 S's. My dad wanted to name me Melanin.
Yeah.
That's another story. Or Family Arts Museum on Instagram. Or Make Apothecary. MAKAPOTHECARY. If you go to Melanin Douglas with 2 S's, it'll lead you to all the other pages.
Yes, I'm gonna have that on your thing. Don't
Oh,
worry.
good.
I'm gonna have it.
Good,
I'm gonna
good,
shout
good.
it out, everything. But y'all, as always, please remember that there's life after trauma and there is beauty on the other side of the darkness. All right. Thanks for seeing and hearing me. Peace.
Yes,
Queen J.
thank you.